Hey YouTube. Okay, we're going to be starting a series that will try to solve new player problems in Oxygen Not Included. So as we know, this game can be very complicated, and usually people will go to Reddit and post their first base, or maybe their 10th base, or some people even post their 100th base. Their colonies keep dying early. So this video series is meant to address the problems that people are having. I'm going to take a look at people's colonies that they're posting and try to help them get past the early stages of the game. So a lot of the advice that I'll be talking about will be very beginner friendly. I'm not going to go into too many complex details, but I feel like there are certain elements of the game that should be understood by new players, and the game, quite frankly, doesn't do a very good job at explaining certain game mechanics, so it's up to the player to try to figure out how to solve certain problems. So that's where videos like this hopefully come in handy. Now, I don't expect these people from Reddit to find the video. Obviously, they're going to Reddit for the instant feedback that you get there, which is great. If you don't know, Reddit has a fantastic community for Oxygen Not Included. However, it can be difficult in a text-based format to communicate exactly what went wrong with the base, and it takes a lot of time to write up analysis and full critiques of people's gameplays. I think constructive feedback is healthy in helping new players learn the game and learning the game mechanics, which hopefully makes them more interested in trying to solve the problems that they encounter so they can get farther into the game. So with that, let's get into the first map. So this person here, he's on cycle 43 and he has 8 duplicants already. One thing that I emphasized in my last 2 videos aimed at new players was that the printing pod is essentially a new player trap. Again, this is not something that the game tells you. It just expects you to know that you'll need to have food, you'll need to have oxygen, and you'll need to have water for all these duplicants to survive. But as a new player, if you have the printing pod going off every couple cycles and you have the opportunity to get more help, yeah, you see that as more production, more help in your base. So it makes sense that new players want to take on so many duplicants, but it's just not necessary. Ultimately, that is why this colony died. So stay away from the printing pod. By cycle 43, you should have no more than 5 duplicants, and even then, that's pushing it because you're going through a run out of oxygen, you're going through a run out of food if you are not careful. This person mentions in their post that they lost 2 at the start trying to plumb the lavatories. If we take a look at the second screenshot that they posted, it seems quite obvious. They dug themselves into this hole. They most likely had access through this airlock, and they dug down far enough and they could not get back up. This is a very simple thing to avoid. As a new player, always be building ladders everywhere. Even if you think you don't need a ladder, your duplicants are not smart enough to figure out how to get out of these situations, or that they're eventually going to get trapped. If you just built a ladder going down, your duplicants could have been saved. If built a ladder going across, your duplicants could also have been saved. That might mean changing the locations of your pressure pump or your liquid pump, but so be it. Make sure you're always building ladder. You also have a problem with your polluted water mixing with your regular water. First, I was confused why you have 2 water sieves this early in the game. You should not need water sieves at cycle 43 unless you're starting on a difficult map that doesn't have clean water. There's no reason to be building water sieves this early into the game. You have plenty of fresh water that you started with, but it seems like you had your polluted water mixing with your water basin that you were using as your main supply, and you wanted a way to possibly filter it. So you built these 2, and it's just not needed. It's wasting power, and it's wasting sand, and it's wasting time of your duplicants because they have to continuously replenish filtration medium, whatever filtration medium you're using. Your third problem is that you have way too many hamster wheels. I mean, just at a glance, I count 7 hamster wheels. I don't know if there's more hiding in other places, but you should not have this many hamster wheels. By cycle 43, you should have a full cogeneration room set up, and ideally, you only want to ever use 1 battery for your entire colony. If you're farther along in the game, you may want 1 battery for every single source of power that you have. So for example, petroleum generators might have their own, natural gas generators might have their own battery, and that is very possible to do even with very large colonies, as long as you're supplying the battery with enough power to keep it fully charged. So more batteries do not make power management more efficient. more power sources do. One battery and 8 petroleum generators is more than enough to get you into your late game. You have all these individual hamster wheels connected to batteries, so every time a battery runs low, somebody has to go and refill that battery by running on the hamster wheel, which is taking away time that they could be doing something else. The fourth problem is that you have way too many oxygen diffusers. So I count 4 at a quick glance. You do not need 4 for a base like this. I see why you did this. It's because your airflow in this base is just not very good. So if you watch the video I did on player tips, one of the first things I talk about is making your base so it has proper airflow. This oxygen diffuser is completely unnecessary. You do not need this at all because there's literally nothing in this room that you need air for. This oxygen diffuser in the middle could be more helpful if you moved it closer to the center where the ladders are, because then the oxygen could spread out from there. Right now, it's just overpressurizing in this one little corner where it can't flow up, it can't flow down, it can only flow in one direction, and it's not going to be very efficient. It's constantly going to be overpressure because the airflow is just not very good in this area. A base like this, that's this size, only needs 1 oxygen diffuser. Base that's 3 times this size will only need 1 oxygen diffuser if it's running constantly. You should leave 1 gap on each side of the ladder and then start your room. So you should never be blocking the ladder on each side with a tile. That's going to restrict airflow. So the 5th problem is that you don't have a liquid lock. The liquid lock is maybe the more advanced part of beginner techniques in this game, but look up liquid locks and how they're made. I have a video for beginners that show you how to make a liquid lock, a very simple one. Essentially what that will do is it will stop this polluted oxygen at the top of this airlock from coming into your base every time you open this door. So there's a lot of room for improvement. However, you did do something very good, and that is you made your room sizes 4 tiles tall. And that is great because it future-proofs your entire setup. When you start getting into your bigger buildings and when you start planting crops, you need 4 tile tall rooms everywhere throughout the base. If you want to be more specific in certain areas, that's fine. You can do 5 or you can do 3 or 2, totally fine. But 4 tiles helps with airflow and it helps you build whatever you need to build. It helps you repurpose rooms if you want to move stuff around. Now, as for what you should have done differently is you should have had farm tiles set up within the first 10 cycles. You should have farm tiles down ASAP as soon as you unlock them, because crops take time to grow. So once you plant your farm tiles and once you find enough seeds, you may still be waiting 1, 2, 3 cycles before those are ready for harvest. Okay, we're gonna do one more. eCozy is a complete beginner. He's been playing for a couple days and learning through Googling and resets. This is the longest I've played so far. What do I need to improve on? Let's take a look at eCozy's base. So eCozy has done a great job laying out his base for proper airflow. You can see he's not surrounded his ladders with tiles on both sides. He has planter boxes down, which I think he could start transforming into farm tiles or hydroponic farms. He has adequate airflow throughout his base, and he's done a wonderful job at sealing off where his coal generator is to limit the amount of carbon dioxide that gets through. So they're asking, what do they need to improve? Personally, what I would do is rush researching for the rock crusher and the smart battery and automation wires. You want to hook up a smart battery ASAP to your coal generators because they will continuously run if you do not have a smart battery, which is going to waste your resources of coal. And if you don't have hatches set up, you're going to run out of coal quicker. You're going to waste duplicate time by constantly refilling the coal generator with coal, even though it's not running anything in your base. You should be focused on researching and getting through the tech tree as quickly as possible, getting your farm tiles or hydroponic farms down. You should be focused on getting a sustainable source of food, whether it's farming or collecting the hatches to ranch and putting them into a stable. So I see that you have a airlock here, which prevents most of the polluted oxygen from coming into your base. However, you can see it sort of lingering around, and that's going to make your duplicants sick, even if you're doing your best at keeping this door closed as possible. So what you really need here is a liquid lock. Then you should be rushing Atmo suits as soon as possible. Atmo suits can be a bit complicated to set up because you need a constant source of power for your gas pump and you need a constant source of air production. So they are a little bit more complicated, but as soon as you get your smart battery set up, rush your Atmo suits. Just rush it on the tech tree and work backwards. Build the Atmo suit dock, build the checkpoint. Actually, don't build the checkpoint right away because your dupes won't go past it without Atmo suits. but build the Atmosu docks and figure out what requirements are needed in order to get them powered up, and then work backwards. So again, smart batteries ASAP, and then build a couple Atmosu docks and figure out what's needed to get that online. Okay, I hope this helps. I hope that whoever sees this is able to get some useful information out of it. And most importantly, I want to thank you guys for watching if you've made it this far. Thank you so much for your support. Let me know in the comments if you were able to learn anything from this video. If you are one of the 2 people whose bases I've critiqued, let me know if you ended up watching this video or finding it somehow. And if you would like help with your base, send me a link to your Reddit page and I can do a critique video. Also, if you found this video interesting and if you'd like to see this in the future. So thank you guys for watching once again. I'm Ethan and I'll see you later.